And welcome to Megan It Possible with Megan, and I am Andy. And today we have a special guest. We've got Troy Owens in the house with us, y'all.
The great Troy
The great Troy.
Owens.
It says it on my cheat sheet. The great Troy Owens.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Thanks for making some time to talk with us today. We're excited
Yeah.
to have a conversation, learn a little bit more about you, and talk about some of the stories behind the music.
This is going to be the most famous that I will ever feel. So I'm going to absorb it all in.
Oh no, dude, you're just getting
I'm going to
started.
treat this
Yeah,
like a
this is
Joe Rogan
the beginning.
podcast, you know?
That's,
Like, man, I made it. I'm here.
You did
that's
make
right.
it.
Got a couple hillbillies from Tennessee interviewing you. You have reached the pinnacle.
Interviewing an oil field raised Wyoming guy.
Beautiful.
See, we're in Kingsport, Tennessee, and you're in Cody, Wyoming.
hmm
See?
Yeah. So, all right. I've never been to Wyoming. Tell me about Wyoming. What do I need to know about Cody, Wyoming?
Well, Wyoming itself is just the greatest place to be. Cody, I live here now, but I grew up in Powell, and which is about maybe 25 minutes away. There's really no traffic in Wyoming at all, so you can lock it down at 72 and get to the next destination pretty quick.
Nice.
But
Beautiful there.
always at least keep a half tank to a full tank of gas because you never know when that next stop's going to happen.
Yep. Yep. All right. So, I think Wyoming, I think cowboys. You a cowboy or how does that work?
Negative. Yeah, that's another one of those hard parts. That's even with me being the musician that I am in the genre of music that I am in, it's pretty difficult to kind of get your name out there because yeah, I'm not the rodeo cowboy
All right.
bull riding. Yep, no, I'm 100% a mountain man. I do love hunting, fishing, backwoods camping, all of it. Just being off the grid.
Dude, you make it out here to Tennessee, give us a holler.
All
That's
right, definitely.
great.
I was showing Andy some of those pictures that you took with your telescope.
Holy
Oh
cow,
yeah,
dude. Yeah.
yeah,
That is absolutely unbelievable.
yeah. That telescope is vision. That one's actually right back there.
Oh
The
yeah, there
white
it is.
that
Nice.
one, and then the new one over there. That's Kevin.
Okay,
See, that's
so
cool.
let's just jump into it. Where did that love for the stars come from? Where did the obsession with telescopes and looking at the night sky and all that come from?
So I've always been obsessed with that. That's been since I can remember. I always remember looking up at the stars and just like my imagination would go wherever it needed to go. And then always talking with my dad, he would always tell me things, like, hey, do you believe that what you're looking at right now probably doesn't even exist anymore? And I remember like being a kid like that in my head, like, what? Like how is that? And it's crazy to this day still thinking about it. And I got my first telescope, I think when I was around 7. And it was just, a little cheap telescope. You can maybe see the moon. And then it had like a little reflector plate on it. You could point it at the sun and just kind of see the sun on a plate, but you could never see planets or anything like that. I didn't finally start diving back into my obsession with um, deep sky observing until I finally, you know, had a decent job, made enough money, I and then finally got to dive into another hobby of mine, which I have many. And so I started following an astrophotography page, and then the obsession just kind of it came back to me, and all of those memories and everything came back. And I do enough camping, and I'm outdoors enough anyway that I was like, I definitely need to have one.
Oh, that is awesome.
Did you guys do a lot of camping as a family, as kids?
My dad and I did, yeah. My dad and I went everywhere together. I mean, my parents, we're all, I got two older brothers, and they're still together to this day. My mom and dad, they're actually moving to Cody next month.
Ooh,
They've been together 40 years, I want to say. Um, but growing up, it was definitely always my dad and I. Like he took me everywhere. There was no stopping him. Like if it was just even a one night, take the camper, pitch the tent up somewhere, I was going with them. So
that's
yeah.
awesome. Is he also the one that got you into guitar? Because he
Yep.
plays too, right?
Yeah, so I was always into music. I always had an obsession with it. But I never really had a desire to play. And I don't know why, because I always had like the ear for it. So
Mm-hmm.
I would always pick out things in songs or, what was out there that like wasn't really appealing to anybody else. They just wanted to sing along, like, I was like more paying attention to like the drum fill in the background or like a bass slide in the background or, a cool guitar chord or an effect. And I always pinpointed those things about music. But my dad played. And so I really didn't have a reason to play because I would always come home and he would be playing downstairs or listening to music. And I always had my headphones on, always listening to music. And it wasn't until he stopped playing that it was a sound that I really, really missed. And then at that time, I was hanging out with some friends that wanted to, start a band, and play Blink 182 covers and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, yeah, I can do this. And I started with bass. And this was before I knew players like Victor Wooten or Billy Sheehan ever even
Mhm.
existed. So I was listening, to Blink 182 and a lot of punk music. And I was like, this shit's boring. I was like, you really want me to sit here and play one note 16 times and then like
Yes.
switch it? I was like, man, this is rough. And so I started diving into other bands. I was getting into like heavier punk bands. Sum 41 had came out, and I was really intrigued with them because they were doing a lot of like guitar solos and a lot more heavy riffing. The drummer was pretty fast and intricate, and I was, like I said, I've always been obsessed with that part of it. So after I started showing my dad some of the stuff I was listening to, he was like, "Hey, have you ever heard of a guy named Joe Satriani?" And I was like, "No." And he showed me the album Flying in a Blue Dream, and the very first song that he showed me was called The Bells of Lull Part 2. And I remember halfway through that song, like, like this exists, like people can play like
And
this,
how
like
old are you at this point?
probably like 15.
Awesome. So it made a deep
And
impression.
yeah, and it was like it was so expressive because I mean, you would be more shocked of my dislike list of music than you would probably my like list. And so when that came out, it was such a form of expression that I was not used to. That it was never playing on the radio. You never saw it on TV. These weren't the artists that were getting asked to play the Super Bowl or the night shows or anything like that. And but the talent was a million times more extraordinary than what was being publicized on like for the public. And I was like, what is going on here? Like, why is this so popular and why is this being ignored? I'm like, this is an art, this is true passion, true storytelling. And then it was instrumental on top of that. And so I felt like the possibilities were endless. I could make my guitar or music sound like a epic boss battle in a video game that I played that I thought sounded really, really cool, where I was like, I just want to get to the boss so I can listen to the song. And so yeah, that's kind of progressed from there.
That is so cool. So I'm listening to you talk about, the deep space photography, listening to like the nuanced parts of the music. And
Hmm.
I'm just curious, like there's the whole spectrum of musicians, right? Like there's the folks that are deep into the theory, they're deep into like the science
Hmm.
side of like, here's why these sounds work together. And then there's the artists that are like, let's throw these things together and just see if it melds.
Right. Yep.
Where are
And that's
you on that
definitely
spectrum?
that's probably me. So I don't
Yeah.
know how to read music at all.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Okay.
If you were to print me songs that I've wrote in sheet form, I would be like, I don't know what this is,
so only
but
by ear?
only by ear. And so it's kind of strange to explain it. So like I can get on stage with a group of musicians and it can be jazz, blues, funk, whatever it is. And if like I'll hum like a tune in my head, to like pitch it, and I know exactly where that note is on the guitar, and then through learning patterns and like kind of mathematics or whatever it is, connecting that on the neck, I know
Yeah.
exactly where I want to go and what I want to do and how to do it.
Oh, that is phenomenal.
I love that
So if
because
someone were to tell me, play every G on the guitar, I wouldn't know that. But then if you were to show me where the G was, then I would be able to show you where every one of those are.
oh,
Because
interesting.
listening to your music, I mean, there's some pretty complex stuff happening
Mhm.
in what you do.
And you got
So
Yeah,
fire fingers
and for
moving
me,
up and down.
it's a pattern. Like I, if I could like draw on a guitar, everyone would be like, "What is this, Picasso?" You know what I mean? But for me, it's like the Matrix to me.
yeah,
Like a guitar neck is like literally like the Matrix, and I know if like this half step and whole step stretches here, then on the next string it can stretch down here, but then I can also play. And so I
that is so great.
That's
Yeah.
incredible. See, Lakin, my son, he plays piano and like that's I was like he listens by ear and I was like he can just go over and start playing it. And I was like
Yeah.
that's why I'm encouraging him, you know, do this. Like that's such an incredible talent.
It's hard. It gets scary when you jam with other people, and you start coming up with a riff and they're just like, "What key are you in?" And I'm like, "Find it." Like, I don't
You
know.
know,
I know it
that one.
sounds good. I know it sounds good and I know it's supposed to be there, but I couldn't tell you any of the cool terms,
Oh, that
musically. But
is
and the
so
reason I
cool.
didn't get into theory and stuff because I didn't like I thought about being a teacher and then I decided not to. And so that's why I never got into theory and stuff because I was like, well, if I teach kids, I'm going to have to accredit them. And so I'm going to have to know theory. I'm going to have to know the notes, the chords, the scales, the everything to be able to teach them so it makes sense to them. If you were to walk in here right now and be like, hey, teach me Surfing with the Alien by Joe Satriani, I'd be like, okay, let's do it. But if you were to come in and be like, can you teach me the scales, the modes, the theory? I'd be like, nope, I'm not your guy.
Oh, that's so great. Yeah. Okay. So that kind of brings up because we've got written down that you did the string challenge thing
Uh-huh.
with one
Mhm.
string, two string, three string.
Yeah.
Talk us through that and what that did for you as a musician.
So I, my all-time favorite guitar player on the planet, Steve Vai. He's the greatest genius I think ever to do it. I go back and forth with so many guitar players. I think Steve Vai is more expressive and more out of the box, as to where Joe Satriani just writes more beautiful pieces of work. And then so I battle with those two. But Steve Vai, I watched an interview of him one time where he was like, "Hey, you should be able to practice one note anywhere on your guitar, one note, and you should be able to practice that note for an hour,
Oh, wow.
and you should play that one note different times, different ways for 1 hour." And so I came up with the string challenge of like, okay, let's do that. Let's see if we can come up with a melody, a verse, a shred part,
Yeah.
a climax, an end, and everything just off of one string. You can slide, you can hammer and pull off, there's so much you can do with just if you can do that with one note, then you can do it with one string. I mean, you got 24 notes now.
That is so okay.
See, I think that's so cool because you're teaching people who, who are wanting to learn. And I don't know, I think it's cool just like you have that authentic, real, just human trait. It's like we can connect with you.
It's a little fast paced. I mean, I sometimes wish when I post videos like that, I go back down and like slow down. Okay, what I'm doing. Okay, when you get to the third string now, you can do things called rakes or half arpeggios, and then because you can't do that just on one string. But now that you got three backing you up, you can you can do a lot more funner stuff, and it's I should go back and do that. I've thought about it a lot because I've got messages from friends that are like, man, that one lick at 5 minutes and 47 seconds. Can you explain that to me? Like,
That's so. How do you make time and space for the exploration and the practice and talk us through the difference between practicing music versus writing music?
yeah, so finding the time is difficult. If it was up for me, if it was up to me, I would practice a minimum of 3 hours a day.
Ah,
And within that 3 hours, it would be making something musical or just running through scales or, that sort of thing. However, I have a busy life. I do have a full-time job. We got kids that run completely crazy. I already told my wife, I'm like, the girls are coming over, like, tell them to stay in the front yard. I'm doing this. So, I mean, life is pretty chaotic and we're adventurous people. And at the same time, like, it's difficult for me because I want to practice and I want to be the best that I can, but then I also want to like enjoy my life.
hmm
And so there's like a fine line there. So I'll usually spend about 20 minutes practicing, just kind of running up and down scales just to get my fingers warmed up. And then from that point on, from however long I got left, it's just straight writing music and creating pieces or creating ideas. Um, you know, as Eminem would call it, just stacking ammo.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Is
So
there a time of the day that seems that you practice and or that you have more of a flow that you
It's
can
usually
writing?
it's usually like later afternoon. So pick Evelyn up from school. She's usually got ice skating. Um, get home, and
Oh, ice
after
skating.
dinner, Oh yeah, she's a very accomplished figure skater.
We don't have
So
that
and
around
then
here.
really,
No,
huh?
Not that I know of, huh?
no, that's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's pretty different sport to watch. It's pretty cool. But we'll get her all settled down, and then if the girls are out playing, if there's something going on that I know that like Maria doesn't need me around, then I'm gonna look at her and just be like, hey, can I go to the music room and practice? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, but you know what that means? Like, it's not, I'm not, because Evelyn's in violin too, but her lessons are like 40 minutes, and then he's like, okay, practice at least 10 to 15 minutes, a couple days a week. I'm like, I'm going in for 5 hours. Like, it's different.
Oh, that's so you don't, I've got a note here that you don't really enjoy singing.
Hate it.
Hate it.
Absolutely hate it. And it's so funny because all of my adventure of music, if people wanted to find me, is all about singing.
Yeah.
Like people would have no idea that I play the way that I play,
Hmm.
that I enjoy the music that I enjoy by just listening to my
Mm.
albums. And that's so frustrating to me, but I don't know I don't know what I'm waiting for exactly for as far as an instrumental album. I've had one titled and in my head since I was probably 16.
Oh,
And
let's go, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
Hey,
it's
we'll
so
interview again when you release it.
yeah, it's a frustrating one for me because singing, I feel like I really got to just kind of got trapped into it without wanting to. At a very early part of starting my music journey, I was playing instrumentals and like nobody cared. Like
Mm.
absolutely nobody cared. And so when I moved to Billings for the first time and I started doing open mics, I was doing a lot of like Andy McGee, Marson type acoustic stuff. I was doing the percussive work, the tapping, but it was all instrumental and like it just never got a gig. Everybody, I mean, they would clap, at the end of a performance. And then I remember the guy that was running sound, we used to call it the garage. It was called the Yellowstone Valley Brewing Company. Now it's Thirsty Street.
I love that place.
Uh, Yeah, it's awesome. There's a lot of history there. I got a lot of history there. And the sound guy at that time came up to me. He goes, hey, I see what you're doing. I know what you are. He goes, but it's never going to make it around here. He was just like, you got to start singing, man. You got to start writing tunes and playing covers. And so I did that and it kind of just excelled a lot more than I wanted it to and a lot faster than I wanted it to. And then before I knew it, I was in bands with people or I was doing, opening shows and it was all singer-songwriter based. But that's where some of the best people that I ever met in my life came from. And so like I felt like it was okay to kind of like hang this in the back corner, like the instrumental side of it. But there was always a part of me, actually nobody knows about it, but there was a part of me each and every night after each and every performance, like I was depressed. I was super sad. Like I didn't, yeah, I didn't feel accomplished. I didn't feel anything. And I did that for 9 years almost.
And is it the sort of thing where the music means that much to you? Like that's what fuels you type thing, and it's hard to like release the instrumental because it's like intensely personal. Like if you don't like singing and people are like, yeah, we like it, we don't like it, whatever. Like you didn't enjoy
Mhm.
it anyway. But the music part sounds like it means something to you. Like is that like kind of vulnerable type of space?
Yeah, and I guess it is because I think it's just because it's such a select audience,
Hmm.
and so I kind of just hold it to myself truly because it's better just to have it to myself than to go out and perform it and be disappointed or have people be like, you should sing. Like, I don't
Hmm.
care how good you are, you should sing. And it's like,
But you can see how passionate you are when you're doing your instrumental. And like even when you were
mhm.
talking about it earlier, when you were just like, I got introduced to it. I mean, like you're just like, you could see how much passion is filled inside of you.
Yeah. And
So
I've
I
done a
mean,
few
that's it
instrumental
needs.
shows that have been phenomenal, and I've got to experience that. And it's two different people. You go out and you watch me perform acoustically or even with, Parker and Eric and Bart, watch me with the band and then me by myself,
Which,
not
by the
even
way, is just
close.
hanging out with you guys would be the absolute dream. Like all through, like I listen to your stuff and I'm just like, holy cow. Like there's so much that goes into this music. Kind of you talking about the difference in the influences that you had and
Hmm.
even the covers that you did. But like and yeah,
Those are incredible musicians.
They are.
you'd be listening to Big Band, then all of a sudden an organ comes out of nowhere, and you're
Yeah.
like, "What the heck is going on here?" And then but it's so good, so
The
good.
the most frustrating part about those three guys is so Eric and I went to school together. We graduated together in Powell.
Okay,
Oh.
But the most frustrating part for me is I entered the Billings music scene when those guys were already known and they were in multiple projects and they were busy and they were on the road and they had done the grind and they had done the work and they were here. But it sucked for me because those were the guys that I wanted. Those were the guys that could have made all of my dreams and my
Mm,
visions come true. They are at a caliber of playing where I don't have to explain anything to them. They just
yeah,
know what to do. And then I allow them with my music to let them do whatever they want, because like I remember when we were doing my album, Parker would be like, "Do you want me to do this?" And I'm like, "Man, I just want you to do you. Like,
hmm
I don't want you to think about, oh, this sounds jazzy, so I have to make it jazzy. Like, no, like be Parker Brown." And then same with Bart. I was like, be Bart Barkak, be Eric Olson. Like, I want it to sound like, even though this is my project, I want it to sound like it was all of our projects. Like we just blended a bunch of shitty recordings together and like patched it and was like, hell yeah, like that's it. You
that's
That's
the
know, and
dream. Yes.
yeah. And
not
so
how I
it's
would describe that, but
and so, like that was the funnest part about that project was like I really feel like each of them individually are doing their own thing. I didn't tell them what to do. I didn't tell them how to do it. There was a few like on the song He's Not Home, that bass intro from Parker.
Yeah.
We were actually just noodling around before he even hit record. And it was the first time in my life ever, like I took a leadership role and I'm like, that has to be there.
Mm.
And he was like, really? I'm like, it has to be there. Like, there's no other way around it. Like, I'm sorry. Like, even if you like hated it, it's sticking. Like, it had to be there. That bass intro just had to be there for that. And it was just, it made the song so perfect because that is such a deep and dark song of mine that I just, yeah.
Yeah. Well, listening to your songs and Rumble Shapes, like I think it's probably like permanently like stuck in my CD player in my car at this point. Like I don't know if there's any getting it out. Um, but like I'm curious because all of the intros have that little groove, that little riff that's like setting up the
Mhm.
tone for the song. And so I was
Yeah.
curious on your songwriting process. Do you like stumble on these things? You're like, oh yeah, I'm designing something around this, or does that just happen? Or what's the process like for you?
So, yeah. So, songwriting, it's first of all, it's coming up with a good guitar part,
Okay.
something that eases me because, like I
Okay.
said, I'm such a busybody, and I get a lot of comments from it, and a lot of flack from it, where they're just like, "Can't you slow down? Like, do you always have to play fast, or do you always have to be fancy?" And it's like, I don't do it for the reason of being fancy or fast. I do it for the reason because that's how my head works, and that's
Hmm.
the like
that's
I
your
love.
artwork that you
Yeah, I
see.
love the intricacies of it. I've always loved technical stuff. I don't care what it is. If it's something that I'm not even interested in, I want to see the most technical version of it. It's kind of like when guys shop, you want to see what like you could never afford first.
Yeah. Oh
Like,
yeah.
okay, I'm gonna look for a house, but first I'm gonna search for a $5 million house. Why? I don't know, because
I
I
have
can.
no
Like,
idea.
yeah. So it kind of goes like that with me. So I come up with a guitar part, and if I really, really, really like it, then I will kind of hum around it and I'll sing around it in a way of what I would make it sound like instrumental.
Nice.
So basically, all my songs were, if I were to just do an instrumental version, what I'm singing is exactly what I would have been playing if it would have been lead.
Yeah. Okay.
But then the story writing behind it, I'm a very open writer, but I'm a very personal writer. Like I write a lot about the shit that goes on in here all the time. I wouldn't say I'm a worry warrior by any means, but like I am just a constant thinker. Like my mind just never shuts down, and I'm always thinking about the things that are just like completely impossible. Like my wife's always just like, "Why would you think of that?" I'm like, "Why wouldn't you? That's great, isn't it? Isn't that crazy?" And she's like,
Well,
"Yeah,
you're
I
given
guess."
inspiration for a reason.
And so I'll hum around it, and then I'll come up with the story. a story that I'll keep personal to myself, but I leave the lyrics open enough to where anybody could relate to it. I don't want to direct just a song about heartbreak and have someone be like, "Oh, dude, that made me happy." Good. No, like don't feel bad about that. That's awesome. That's what I want. And so I kind of leave my words open to where nobody would feel shameful of saying that, "Hey, this is what I thought about when I listened to it," or "This is what it did for me." Awesome. Because my whole goal is to do something for you musically. If that's make you sad, make you happy, inspire you, whatever, that's my job. So you getting a different emotion than what I was by writing it, it's not a bad thing. I'm not going to be mad about it.
Well, I think that's interesting you say that too, because I think two of my favorite songs, You and I and Little Butterfly, like
Mm-hmm.
those are two of my favorites. And like you wrote when I had said that to you before, you're like, yeah, one of those is for my lady, and then the other one was
Mm-hmm.
for your daughter. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, I think like I connect with those. It's like I feel the love in them.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's an interesting just picking up on the emotion, because I'm definitely an empath. I'm, strong emotions
Mm-hmm.
and like that's what music. It's like music fills in where words,
Yeah. And when I
lack.
wrote You and I kept the lyrics open. I just slightly switched them around. So like the first verse is just like it's like Maria and I meeting for the first time. And the first verse is just like the thoughts that are going on in my head. Like this is what I'm wondering, this is what I'm thinking. How about we just give it a try? And then the next verse is like it's going on in her head. Yet none of us are telling each other this at face value. We're just having that awkward like is there a booger in my nose like kind of a moment, you know what I mean? But all of this shit is actually going on in her head. So and then Little Butterfly, that's just yeah, that's just Evelyn. That's just her being her
Man, man.
and doing the thing that scares me the absolute most, and that's growing up. You know,
Ah, yeah. What a
it's
beautiful
the most pain. It's the
sentiment.
most painful thing in the world. Like it was the only reason I never wanted children,
Mm.
was I had never wanted to watch them grow up. I was so terrified of watching them grow up, and it's like every day. It's so gut wrenching.
Oh man, I'm a girl dad too. I totally
Mm-hmm.
relate. Yeah.
Yeah, the
I
bittersweet is just it's not fair for sure.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Well, and family seems to mean so much, as you've talked about your parents, you've talked about your brothers, you've talked about Maria and the girls,
Hmm.
and then the musical family too, with Parker and Eric
Yeah.
and those guys. So that seems to be a deep, deep part of who you are. And one of the people I wanted to talk about that I think was an influence on you that I never got to meet, but David Cleaves.
Oh, well, I'm glad I poured this one.
Yeah, there you go, man.
Mm.
Eric, I get mine's
Yeah,
just
I already had tracked for sure. David Cleaves, wow. He was a great, great, great man. I when I am friends with people, when I let people in my bubble, unless you're like a murderer or something like that, I don't let people's flaws get to me, and I don't judge anybody. I judge off of how you treat my family and my friends and me first value.
Yeah.
So if someone doesn't like you, don't try convincing me if I like them. It's not going to happen. And I'm a one strike you're out kind of guy. So
Mm,
David, he warmed me with open arms the very first day he ever met me.
wow.
He was kind of like you, Megs. He would always give me compliments. He always wanted to see me at where I wanted to be. Not to hold back. Like he'd always tell me with my songwriting and singing, like, "Hey, man, it's not forever. You'll get to do what you want to do. This is only a point. I know you're unhappy with doing it this way. I know you're unhappy with singing. I know you're unhappy with playing covers, but it's only for a little bit. You'll get to where you need to get to." He was wonderful to my kids. Um, yeah, he was just a great, great dude.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I've
That's awesome.
shared a lot of moments with him, a lot of late nights with him, and yeah, I miss him.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful.
I think that he's a common theme between all of my musician friends that
Yeah.
Mhm.
everybody knew him
Yep.
and spoke really highly of him.
Yep. And I met David, back before Satsang was even big. I mean, they weren't even barely charging a cover charge at the garage. It was just him and Drew. And I met right at that point, and he was still just a great, great guy.
Yeah. Great. It seemed like a great person, obviously phenomenal musician.
Mm-hmm.
I
Just
had an old video that popped up in my phone. We were at the Pollard in Red Lodge, and we were playing a gig there. And he was playing his mandolin, and Evelyn like ran up to him, and he like gave her like a little high five. And
oh,
Oh,
I just that came up on my phone the other day, and I was like, huh,
he's
dang,
telling you hello.
you know.
who who are some other folks that were influential, not just stylistically, but like as a person, they made a difference in your life and
So
influenced
more
who you are.
personable people, not like
Yeah.
famous people.
Yeah.
Well, I'll admit,
Well, and it
I
doesn't
gotta,
have to be whichever direction you want to take it, but yeah, yeah,
right.
just folks that had an influence.
Well, I gotta give him his praise, and I think it's if you guys can get it to happen, I think it would be the musician that I would want you guys to interview next. Bart Barkak is probably the most beautiful human being that I've ever met in my entire life,
Wow.
and I get kind of choked up talking about him. Um, Most talented guy that I've ever seen. Such a family man, works his ass off. Um, he showed me more. Like if it wasn't for him, that Rumble Shape would have never happened. That was
Okay.
all.
Yeah, he's a
So
big.
I was already at a point in my music where like I deleted Facebook again. I was off social media for a couple of years. I wasn't doing it. And he would constantly call and constantly want to do gigs together and constantly want to do projects with me and only me. And so he's the one that set up the meeting with Parker to get it recorded. He was the one that set up the meeting with me to even talk about making an album. And it was just supposed to be an EP. There was only supposed to be like 4 songs, and it was just going to be me and Bart. That was it. And it gradually grew into like a full blown project. But the journey that man's been on, his successful marriage, his successful children, everything about that man is exactly like I would not bitch for 1 second if I was 1% like him. Like I would want to be exactly like him,
Wow.
100%.
Well, and
Like
they say
just
you're a lot like the people that you hang around, so you
yeah,
pick up good
yeah. So
qualities and
I
traits.
gotta give him those. I gotta give him those props right now. So because I'm so thankful for him, and this interview would have never happened. I would have never met any like it's just none of it would have happened had it not been for Bart.
So thank you, Bart.
So yeah,
Yeah.
We appreciate it,
great
man.
All
man.
right,
I
Bart, we're
can't.
Well,
coming for you. We've been put on
I
notice.
can't. I can't say enough about him without getting teary eyed, man. He is
That is
awesome.
beautiful.
well, we'll see what we can do to make that happen then.
But other people. So when I was a lot younger, there was a man that worked at a guitar shop in Billings, guitars and amps, and his name was Jay Fusion. I don't know, Megan, if you see around the Billings scene the band called Repeat Offenders.
Mm-mm.
You'll 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 know them sooner than later as you dive into more of the Montana, music. They're just basically this crazy party fun cover band. But Jay, he's got a long story that I would just love to hear. But he took me in, probably one of the most fantastic guitar players I've ever met in my life. Like he makes me sound like I just started about 2 weeks ago. So he is absolutely phenomenal, wonderful, wonderful heart. Like like again, just like Bart, his dedication to his family and his marriage and his craft and his personal reputation. It's just so respectful to watch, and it's so amazing to see. And so I got to give props to Jay. Phenomenal. He's helped me out through a lot of dark times in my life. He's one of the very few, even more than Bart, that's kind of seen me at some of my worst points. And so yeah, he's big, very influential. Of course, yeah, my family, my mom, my dad, my brothers, growing up, they were there. So, and there's a
That's
lot more too. I mean, the list goes on and on.
sure. Yeah.
It's a
At some point, you danger. You're on the. Who am I going to leave out? And
I
like,
know. And then, yeah, because I'm sure if they watch it, what up? What the hell, bro? You didn't mention my name.
And all the
Sorry, man.
others, you know who you
Yeah,
are.
yeah.
so
Like we're
so
we're
yeah.
we're focused on music here, so I'm trying to think of my music family.
So take us back to being a kid. How were you like the quiet, compliant child? Were you like the rambunctious, mischievous kid? Where were you on that?
Mm.
He had to take a
I was
sip
a
first.
hellraiser. Yeah, I was a hellraiser, man. You couldn't tell me what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. Absolutely
Oh
not.
man, that's
I absolutely refused. I was never disrespectful. So that was
okay.
the thing. It's like I raised hell. I partied. I didn't listen. I did a bunch of things, but like it was always like, yes, fam, no, sir, please, thank you, open
Oh,
the door
that's
for people. You know, like I
yeah,
was always like that. But there wasn't, I mean, yeah, there was nothing I didn't say no to. If it sounded like a good time, I was there.
that's so cool.
So yeah, I graduated and got my diploma through online classes because I couldn't be in public school anymore. Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
So what were the dreams when you were a kid? What did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh man, the first thing I ever wanted to be was a storm chaser.
Oh, really?
I was obsessed with tornadoes, man.
Me too.
All I wanted
Oh,
to do was
yeah.
be a storm
Fantastic.
chaser. It was just awesome. The movie Twister, constantly in my VCR, never left.
Yeah.
You know, and then slowly as that kind of faded, I got really into skateboarding, and I got
Oh, okay.
really good. And I loved again
You know that?
skateboarding for me was kind of like what guitar did for me. You know, it was like a freedom kind of thing, especially
Okay.
street skating. You know, there was that kind of like anticipation when you're going to get in trouble by the cops. But I still got to nail this 360 flip off the stair. You know, I don't care if it's a church or a college. I got to nail this. And so there was that rush that was involved. There was creativity involved. And then there was like a style that was involved too. You know, what music did you listen to when you skate? How did you dress? What trucks did you ride? What board did you ride? You know, who were your favorite skateboarders? You know, and you were kind of,
Yup.
Tony
it's kind
Hawk.
of crazy how even skateboarding, like I was molded into like my favorites. So like with music, you know, Satriani, Steve Vai, I sound similar to them because they are my ultimate influences. When I skateboarded, you know, Rodney Mullen was my favorite skateboarder. So I skated like him, you know, but I've made it my own work of art as well.
Oh,
And
man.
then I'm still into artwork. I do a lot of drawing,
Okay.
but yeah, those are about the
Wh- When's the
only
last
things
time
that
you
are,
skateboarded?
I cleared out my parents' storage a few years ago, maybe 3 years ago, and my skateboards were in there, and I brought them home, and I did a handstand double flip and landed it in front of my daughter, and then I threw it in the garage, and I have not gone near it.
Yes.
I went
Just
out
so
with
you
I went out
know.
with a bang, you know. I was like, huh.
Let's go, man.
And it couldn't the stars could not have aligned any better, you know, because my wife's out there like staring at me like you don't even know what you're doing, and everyone's like, can you do this? I'm like, yeah, check this out, and I nailed it. And like when I got to look over and see all their faces, like I was just like, I'm done, you know, like don't
Oh,
ask
that's
me to
so cool.
try.
I hope that memory just stays on repeat when you're 90 years old and you're
Mhm.
like, I hope you have some swag in a nursing home. Like, I still got it. You'll be riding that hover around like a skateboard. I can feel it
Yeah,
already.
I still watch a bunch of like if you get on my Instagram and go through my reels, I think there's more skate videos than there are guitar videos. Just like
That's
oh, just I just love the sound of it. Just the
I
yeah,
always
everything.
I hung out with skaters, but I never could skate. I think I'm just my balance. I
yeah.
was always like, I'm the clumsy one and it's not safe. So I'll just cheer you on from the side, and
I'll stand on it, but that's
yeah,
about it.
hold my hand and we're
Don't let me
good.
go. Yep.
That's so great. So, other than skateboarding, what do you want to be remembered for? Like, what's the legacy you want to leave?
Well, one of my one of my biggest fears is like I mean, there's a lot of things I want to be known for, but one of my biggest fears is not being known as a good artist, as a good guitar player.
Ah,
I could care less if someone calls me a shitty songwriter. I could care less if someone called me a shitty performer. It doesn't matter. But if there's one thing outside of just wanting to be like a great dad, a good friend, you know, that's all given. If there's one thing that if I could have a choice of, it'd be like I would want people to be like, he was a phenomenal guitarist.
mm.
He loved guitar and he played it well and he was super creative and he mastered that instrument, so to say. That's
Objectively, I mean, you listen to it, you're like, that's a great guitarist. But for all of the other musicians and folks out there, do you feel like you are?
yeah, but then sometimes I feel like I'm like maybe in this like weird reality. You know what I mean? I'm like, did I eat a shroom that lasted 40 years and I'm still in it? Because like I think I'm good. I
Yeah.
know I've put in a ton of work, a ton of hours, to go above and beyond that line of like, intermediate to or beginner, intermediate, expert. I've and then I come up with things, and I even go back and watch it because like I can't go back and listen to my singing stuff. Oh gosh, you couldn't pay me enough to do that.
Mm.
But I can go back and watch my guitar videos over and over and over again to be like, even in my head, I'm like, whoa, how did I do that one? When did I do that? But then like, you know, I got like probably $2 in my account from making, in music because I'm not that popular. So I'm like, maybe I'm living a lie. Maybe I'm not that good. Like maybe,
I think it's just like
like
getting.
I'm not getting asked to open for bands or, to go and play these venues and stuff. So like maybe I'm not that good. Like I don't know. Or maybe I'm just not in the right place at the right time. It's like I was telling Megs the other day, I'm in a niche market with the
Mm.
music that I play. And I was shocked when even Billings, Montana was too small to get the support of instrumental music that I wanted. I was like, oh, because nobody cared.
Mm.
I was just like, even going from Powell, Wyoming to Billings, Montana, like 130,000 person gap. I was just like, okay, this is going to be a lot harder than I thought it was going to be.
So
And I don't know if I want to grind that hard because, yeah,
I don't know. Maybe it's just like finding the right people and like talking to the right, just getting in the right vein of things. I don't know. Like, we connected.
yeah,
I think you're an amazing musician. Um, like as soon as I heard you, like I was like, "Yo, I got to send you a message and I got to get this CD." Like
it
I
was
heard it.
so it was so funny when I got your message too, because like you never know. Like I am such like the social media like police, and I was like, this is spam. I was like, I should delete it, or but then like there was like I only answered you because there was like a 1% in the back of my head where I was like, hey, maybe this is a gig opportunity. Like maybe she wants me to play somewhere. Like she's like a legit owner of something. And so then I went and then I actually read the message and stuff. I was like, oh, you just found me because of Parker Brown. That's cool.
And you, I did though.
Yeah, and now there's like 60 other people around East Tennessee
Yeah, and that was.
that know you because Megan went on a CD buying spree and is like, everybody's got to hear your music. And she came in my office with Rumble Shape,
Mhm.
and I've got an insurance office, and Megan came in, she's like, you got to hear this. I've got our next interview, and threw it down on my desk, and I was like, okay, yeah, cool, whatever. And I got in my car that night on the way home from work, and I put it in. I was like, oh wow, like this is like legit music. This is really good. And so yeah, we've had fun passing out some CDs. She's got a
Yeah.
list. I'm gonna let
And
her
yeah, I said, and when you
go.
believe in
Yeah.
somebody, you help them achieve their dreams.
And I
That
think
was
that's
that
yeah.
first time that she handed out CDs. I got to tell you, that was probably top five, one of the greatest random acts of kindness that I've ever seen somebody
Mm.
do. I was just like, and she's like sending pictures and posting pictures, like, got another one,
She's
got
got
another
some
one.
of them with her right here. Check this
Yeah,
out.
I'm like, what?
Local
Oh yeah,
celebrities,
yep. That was the
Sarah.
first batch.
Yeah, this is right when
So
I got your
awesome.
CDs
Yep,
and handed out some of them to
yep,
friends. And then the day that I went, oh, hold on, this one. That's the day before.
yep.
And then the day I went around to two different states, six
Oh
cities,
yeah, oh
handing it
yeah.
all out. I was dressed like uh this
The
cheetah.
leopard. Yeah, because it was like Halloween, wasn't it?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was in October.
yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, it was so fun just like going around and everybody just was really enjoying that.
I love it. I love
That
it.
was awesome. Yeah, I just laughed and laughed when I got those pictures. I was like, that is probably the craziest, funniest, best random act of kindness someone's ever done for me. That is just way cool.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. She genuinely does believe it. Like I want you to know, like, I think you've got a growing fan base. Like, yeah, maybe it's 60 people, but
Mm,
your stuff is genuine, it's heartfelt, and it's beyond that, it's like really, really good. Like I've heard some bad music that's still heartfelt. Like they did a really good job with those lyrics, but man, it was a shame what happened behind them. And,
Yeah.
like, your stuff is genuinely so good, and uh, you know
And
the
that's the hard thing about music, right? It's like, and where I'm at, like, especially being in a small town, you know, like we're in a world right now where you can't admit if something's bad or good, or it can only be good. And that, like, I'm like negative. Like, you
yeah
gotta learn, or like you can't. How do you progress if you can't have any kind of doubt or any kind of like reassure or like not like reality check? And for me, like, yeah, being in a small town and stuff, like the musicians that are well known here, like the local goes, I'm like, you know what I mean? It's just like it's not that good. It really isn't. And 80% of it's covers. And
yeah
so you just want to go up to the bar owner and be like, dude, save your money and buy a jukebox. Like, what are you doing paying this band $1,500 to play for 2 hours to butcher a song? Like, you know what I mean? What are you doing?
yeah
Like, but no one can say that. You know what I mean? Like, no one, no one would say that out loud. I will, because it's frustrating for me because there are other musicians, even here locally, that bust their ass and put the work in and are actually incredible players and
Hmm.
incredible creators. And they'll never get to headline a grand opening downtown or do the 4th of July show, and then you're just like, why?
I think
You
it's
know what?
interesting too with like bars and stuff. It's like a lot of times like the bar atmosphere like is like,
Mhm.
hey, how you doing? Da 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 da. And you're not necessarily paying full attention to the musicians on stage, right?
Exactly.
But like, so that's the interesting thing with like listening rooms. Like you're
Hmm.
hearing more about those, and those are like those more intimate things. And people really are just focused on the music and listening,
Yeah.
and like, and it's a different kind of respect, I'm sure, feeling for the musician too.
I've
Like,
always told people, um, like as far as like a bar gig or anything like that, because you're automatically going to be background noise. So you can throw 40 F bombs out there, and no one's even going to look at you because that's how much people are paying attention. And for me, it's not worth that grind. Like, I'm not going to take time away from my family. I'm not going to take a good night away from my kids or a weekend up at our lake house where we can be fishing and boat. Like, I'm not going to take away my time to go grind at that. Now, kudos to the people that do, and I love and respect them so much. But I've also told people too, like, you give me a venue, I'll be the next big thing yesterday.
Hmm.
You give me a venue where people sit and want to listen to music and want to see a performance. That'd have been big yesterday.
Hmm. That's so
And
great.
so a lot of it too, but like I said, I don't want to do the grind.
Yeah.
I go to bed at like 10. Like,
Old soul, man. Yes.
yeah, like,
you
I mean,
worked hard through the day.
I start partying at 6 a.m., but I go to bed at 10.
That's right. After the fashion show and the
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I feel you. Dad, girl. All right. Girl, dad. So people find you on Spotify. They find you on YouTube, Apple Music, Instagram. I've got Troy Owens 4444.
Hmm.
All right.
Yep.
Any
I think
place else
just,
you want people to look you up?
no, I think I'm on, yeah, it's like, yeah, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Pandora,
Perfect.
iTunes, yeah, all that stuff.
And I want to hear about this podcast that you are wanting to start up.
Man, I have dreamt of having a podcast. My two biggest goals in life is to have a podcast and own a brewery. If that's how I know I'd made it, you know what I mean? If I could
Yeah.
just have those two things. Um, I've always wanted to do a podcast. I've always been blown away by podcasts. I love it. They're personable, they're real, they're not fake. I mean, I'm sure there's some out there, but the ones that I watch, that's some real shit. Like, those are
Yeah.
real people and they're talking for hours. And I could sit here and watch two grown men puff on a cigar and talk for 3.5 hours. Like, I can do that too. And that's what I want to do that too, and I want to do
Right.
it with the musicians here. I mean, that's how you would get your start, is by the local musicians and the people that have come into my life. It's personable for me. So that makes it relatable to an audience. Like, the audiences want to relate. They want something personal. They don't want to feel alone. They want to feel like any dirty joke that went on in your head or any kind of funny joke that went on in your head, other people do that too. Like, you're not alone. And so being able to open that and be,
Yeah.
yeah, it'd be cool.
All right, we've got some
I
trivia.
encourage that.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
we're so voting for you, man. We're so voting for that. We want to see the
trivia.
podcast happening in the back of the brewery.
That would, to be honest with you, that's exactly how it would be. And it would be like, I would pull off like the Joe Rogan, like I would be like, this is 3 hours, man. Can you talk for 3 hours? Because I can't.
That's so great. All right, so let's get in. We've got some trivia. We're going to end with some trivia here.
Okay, and we've got our cold ones for
Oh,
you.
yeah, I will. Hold on.
What in the world? This is the first time I'm seeing these trivia questions too.
Oh,
So as you get to know me, because we'll have more than one interview.
that's
Um,
right.
So great.
Amen.
Like I said, I want to own a brewery. I absolutely love beer. Just throwing that out
And
there.
all the beer was drank by Troy Owens.
Mhm. Yeah, I remember going and recording with Parker, and I'd be like, "Dude, let's go get a 6 pack of beer." And he's like, "Dude, it's like 10." I'm like, "So we're working."
Creativity. All right, so
Juice.
this is the first time I'm
Yes.
seeing these questions. Cheers.
Cheers.
This is the first time that I'm seeing these questions, and these are such Megan questions. I'm loving it before we even get started.
Oh,
I'm gonna start. I'm not gonna start at the top. We can't start at the top.
What? This is a hard one.
What do the wheels on the bus do?
Are these dad jokes?
Yeah, I know, right? That's what I feel
Go
like. Like, do I have to say this with a straight face? First one
go,
to
go.
laugh.
But I'm laughing, like you said, girl dads,
Is
I'm
it
laughing.
is it A? Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Listen. I did give you some multiple choice.
Is it A? Do
Uh-oh.
they go open and shut? B? Do they go swish, swish, swish? C? Do they go beep, beep, beep? Or D? Go round and round?
I'm gonna go with D, the final answer. Go round and round.
Woo! Yeah.
Where's my? There we go. All right. Megan, you do the next one. I've already messed your trivia list up. Let's go.
Okay. Drums, bells, and xylophones are examples of what types of instruments? A, percussion, B, woodwind, C, brass, or D, string.
With A.
There we go. All right. Give me this list. What have we got next? In the second verse of She'll Be Coming Round the Mountain, what will she be driving? 8 racing dogs, a BMW, 6 white horses, or 12 cows?
I have no idea.
She'll be coming round the mountain. She'll be
That's the only
coming
part I
round
know.
the mountain when she
When
comes.
that's all I know of it.
It's
Um,
6 white horses.
It's 6 white horses.
Yeah.
What were the options again? I'll tell you.
8
I'll be honest with
racing
you.
dogs,
Uh-huh.
BMW, 6 white horses, and 12 cows.
I think I would have guessed 6 white horses. Actually, yeah.
We'll give you half credit on that one.
Half
Yeah.
credit. You made up for that one.
All right.
All right. What is the last name of John Jacob Jingleheimer? A. Johnson, B. Schmidt, C. Smith, or D. Lawrence?
C.
I think it's
I
Schmidt.
think you misheard you.
Schmidt.
Yeah, that's C, right?
B. Schmidt.
Oh, B is Schmidt. Oh, yeah,
Schmidt. Yeah.
that one.
Okay.
She was listening to like Mother Goose when she came up with this list. Life is but a what in the song "Row, Row, Row Your Boat."
What is the beginning again?
Life is but a what? Fill in the blank. Life is but a what in the song "Row, Row, Row Your Boat." Is it an ocean, a ship, heaven, or a dream?
A
You're
dream.
gonna need another drink before we finish this up. Row, row, row your boat. Life is but a what?
Dream.
Life is but a-
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Now we're done with the multiple
Oh gosh.
choices.
All right, you've made it to round
All right.
two.
If this is where it was going, I was happy. Like in my head, I was like, if she asks me anything about music history or anything like that, I'm gonna bomb this because,
Hey, you
like I
never
told
know.
you guys, like you would be more shocked of my dislike list
Yeah, do not
than
ask me pop culture,
anything
man.
you would know.
I'm not your guy. No, I will fail you on trivia night.
Okay, so what famous music festival costs $24 for a ticket at the gate? Famous music festival. What's the most famous music festival you know? It's only
Woodstock,
$24 to get in. Back in the
Woodstock,
day.
Woodstock, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go,
Okay, I was gonna
baby.
say, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
there you go.
Okay.
In 1957, which rock and roll star was only filmed from the waist up because it was considered that his hip swinging was too suggestive?
Uh-huh.
in 1957.
Uh-huh.
I
Swinging the
mean, the only
hips.
one swinging hips that I know of is Elvis, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Is this round three? Are
Let's
they
see.
getting progressively harder? I can't. No, you're good. Okay, you're good. I think you got these.
Okay, that one might be round 3, that last one.
Okay.
Okay. Believe it or not, but Jimi Hendrix only had one top 40 hit. Which song is it?
I'm so not a Jimi Hendrix fan. Um, Even though you always got to give credit where credit's due. I'm not a Jimi Hendrix fan, but Little Wing is one of the most gorgeous songs I've ever
Mm.
heard. But outside of that, what is the one song that made the top 40?
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Is it
so
Hey
glad you're
Joe?
the one in the hot seat.
Hey Joe?
All Along the Watchtower.
I was trying to think of what I always hear in movies or anything that's the most popular.
Yeah.
It's always Hey Joe intro.
What classical composer was deaf?
I'm not going to say it out loud because I don't want to butcher this. Tell me the name and I'll tell you if that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, it was Beethoven.
Beethoven. I was going to say Mozart. Damn it.
Okay.
You tell me, and I'll tell you if that's what I was thinking.
And the
Yeah.
man is honest enough.
Yeah.
I like that. That was pretty slick. Okay.
All right.
All right. Okay. So this is just because I'm a nerd, and this is my nerd question.
Go for it.
Okay. This is the last one. All right. What artists made up the super group The Traveling Wilburys?
I know that group, but I couldn't tell you the artist.
You want me to give you a couple and see if you
Just
can
tell me.
rest?
There's no way.
Okay. All right. So the answer is George Harrison, Roy
Yeah.
Orbison, Jeff Lynne, Tom Petty, and Bob Dylan.
I'd have never guessed any of those. Yeah.
Well, thank you. You did good.
Yeah, I'd have
All right.
never guessed any of
And
those.
then we've got some fan questions.
Oh, yeah.
All right. I said we'd end with the trivia. We're actually going to end with the fan question.
Too
Okay.
bad.
Are we already there? Towards the end?
We are.
I had this whole list. I had this whole list on my phone of like how I was going to answer certain questions, like what bands I were going to mention, what albums I was going to mention, and it didn't even go there.
You want to mention somebody?
No.
Okay. Okay. All right. So we got a couple fan questions.
Okay.
This one is from someone you know, Wes Urbaniak. Why so much connection with that area?
Why are apples so expensive around here?
Oh, he threw it out first. Oh, I have no idea what in the world the story is, but that was the next question.
Oh, Wesley, I love that man.
She literally had.
I know.
Why
I was
are
like,
apples getting so expensive around here? I don't know if you can read her writing. There you go.
That's another shout out I gotta give. You know, Wes and I have been we've had a lot of memories together, a lot of great memories, some bad ones. I mean, we've been in and outs together. We're two alphas with incredible talent that we can't work together to save our lives, but goddamn, when we get together and we're friends and we hang out, He's one of the best humans that I've ever been around, and we have the best times together. And I owe a lot of thanks to Wes and his support and creativity. And yeah, great man.
That's
Yes,
so
I
great,
agree.
man. All right.
Shout out Wes.
Hmm.
We're gonna get you on here too.
That would be a great one. That'd be a great one. Andy, be ready for answers like those questions.
Okay, all right. I had no idea. Yeah, that was wild. That was so great. Because before we even started recording, Megan's like, I don't know what this means, but I'm supposed to ask.
And I said,
I,
you're not supposed to know where it comes from, but I guess the whole thing was telling anyway.
I would explain it to you, but we'll save that for a off the record interview.
Okay.
That
All
works.
right, bet.
It was a good night.
Okay, so this one is from Samantha Garner. She says, "What moment in your musical journey made you realize you were on the right path? Like, yeah, this is what I'm meant to do."
Oh, good question.
The minute that I couldn't just have it, the
Hmm,
minute that I loved something so much that I had to work for it. Like it was the first thing that I really worked hard to
that's
get
awesome.
to. And knowing like where the top of that is, that was work that I knew I was never going to be able to accomplish or get to. It was a dream. But being able to get to a certain point of my music for my own satisfaction and to be able to help me calm my mind and to help me basically save my life, that's when I knew.
Oh, beautiful. That's awesome. Great.
Good question. Thank you. Good answer.
Great question. I was going to
Okay.
answer it on Facebook, but I was like, nah, better not.
Okay. And then the other question we've got is, where do you find your inspiration when writing new songs? From my cousin, Jenny Wallace.
Well, my biggest inspiration are my kids. Um, Second to that, a lot of my inspiration comes from nostalgia. I had, like even though I got into a lot of trouble and I did a lot of stupid shit, I had one of the best childhoods that I can imagine. I had really good friends, um, a couple, in hand that are not music friends, but just good friends that have stayed there with me to the end, like Tyler McIntosh and Tyler Showalter. I call him Matheson. Um, I remember the late nights playing Legend of Zelda and talking Dragon Ball Z. And for some reason, I think a lot of it with Zelda too was the music behind it. The
Yeah.
music will never go away. Um, I'm drifting now. I forgot what was the question.
Inspiration for new songs. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so a lot of it thinking of the past, a lot of it thinking of my childhood with my friends, the hell that we raised that I wish my daughters could raise to this day.
Mm,
I wish they could go out and be out in a field until 11 or midnight, and not have to worry about them. We're not in a world like that anymore. And that's such a bummer, but I think about that a lot. And I've told my wife that a bunch of times. I'm like, I know it's stupid. It's just a video game, but like it means so much to me. Like it inspires me. I think about it all the time. It was like a core memory. You know what I mean? Like it was truly a core memory that
same.
period was.
Yeah.
And so a lot
And
of
you
my
named your
inspiration,
daughter.
yeah, yeah, yep. And so a lot of my inspiration comes with that, with a lot of my past experience, my core memories. I'm obsessed with medieval.
Huh.
I love like dragons and knights and mountains and elves, and I love all that stuff. So that's where a lot of inspiration comes from too.
Wow.
And then of course nowadays it's 2025, and so I'm not even in the realm of being able to compete with any of the musicians that are out there nowadays. That's another inspiration, is just watching people take it to the next level,
Yeah.
like to such a level where it sounds like a damn robot. I'm like, whoa. Like that is inspiring to me. People that completely devour me and make me sound so horrible is like, I love it.
That's how you
I
grow.
Yeah, I
You're
love
like, oh, I really like that. And now I'm
it.
gonna, model something I'm doing after that. And you
Hmm.
inspire. You never
Yeah,
know who you're going to be inspired by, and who you're going
yeah.
to inspire.
And so right now, the three guitar players that I'm just like always watching is Tim Henson. He plays in a band called Polyphia. Tosin Abasi, he plays in a band called Animals as Leaders. And then Marcin, he is that um, kind of Spanish acoustic guitar player that you always see
Oh
reels
yeah,
of.
yeah.
Like those three guys right now are on my radar where I'm like, wow, I'm glad I'm home. Like couldn't compete with that if I tried.
That's so.
Maybe we need to get you to meet him.
Yeah, that'd be great. I've met all my other heroes. I've met every one of them.
See, let's do it.
Yep.
Let's write that instrumental album and let's go meet our people.
It'd be sweet.
All
Make
right.
it
So
happen.
usually I would wrap up by asking you like to your daughters, to the younger generation
Mhm.
of musicians, kids that feel something inside of them when they hear music. What's your encouragement? What's your advice to them to make music, embrace music, and to just find expression in it?
I think for me, I would have to counter that and just say, not specifically just make it about music. I would have to say, find your craft, find your calling,
Hmm.
find something that the worst day in the world, the biggest bully in the world, the worst parent in the world, whatever your life is at the most worst, find something that they can't touch, that they
Mm,
cannot take away from you because you love it, and excel to be the very best at it that you can. Also, while simultaneously not forgetting about the path that your life is going down. Like with me, music was everything. Back then, I would have never told you I was going to be a family man and I never told you I was going to own a house. Negative. I was going to strictly play music and that's all I was going to do. I have all that stuff now, but it's not a regret. Like I still get to play music. And at the end of the day, if I'm not playing in front of millions, fuck it. I don't care because I still get to be as as amazing as I want.
Hmm.
I became a musician to challenge myself and to technically
there you go.
do to myself what I wanted to do and create something. I still get to do that. Regardless, like I don't need a million people to tell me I can do it. And so I still get to come in here and create and practice and be as good as I want to be. And it satisfies me. Now I get a family along with that. So don't treat the good things that come in your way as an obstacle or as an avoidance. Take it for what it's worth, follow your heart. But yeah, if you find something that can at your most negative that they can't take away from you, just do the best you can. Find the best people that do it. Don't be intimidated by them. Surround yourself with people that just make you feel this big, but not in a belittlement way,
Mm.
just in a way where you're like, man, I want to get there. Like my daughter right now with figure skating, like she wants to do a backflip. Like that's her goal. And she's here and the backflip is, way up there, but it's like, it's awesome. I love her coach so much because her coach always talks to her about when she's going to do the backflip.
Mm.
She doesn't say you can't. She never says you can't do a backflip. She never says don't pay attention to the backflip. She's just like, Evelyn, okay, so like, we get these done and everything like that. And when you're doing your backflip, then we gotta. And so Evelyn's already convinced, like, wait a minute, I'm gonna do one.
Hmm. Yeah, your
And so
thoughts and your words, I
yeah,
mean, they all matter.
exactly. So I just want them to, I just, all the other kids, growing generations, and including mine, man, I just want them to be the best that they can.
Yeah,
That's it. I get on their ass if they don't try hard, and I'm very passionate when they try hard and fail or pass. I give them both that same.
that's
Like
beautiful.
if they try their butts off and don't get a gold, I'm like, hey, it's okay. I know you tried your butt off. But if they're lollygagging and then get last, I'm like, your ass is mine. No.
Oh man, Troy, thank you for just sharing some of your life with us. Thank you for being the man that you are. Obviously, your music's great. We could talk about the music stuff all day, but your heart for your family comes through over and over again in this interview. Um, the way you speak about your own family, but also your recognition of your friends and the type of men and people that they are, that says a lot about your character
Hmm.
and that energy that you put out into the world through your music, through your songs comes through. And so thank you for being that type of person. And
Appreciate it. Thank you.
it's great to have a new friend here.
Yeah.
And we're really honored that you took time to sit down with us and
Man,
just
the next interview's got to at least be 2 hours. We
deal.
haven't even done the fun yet. We haven't even got mud on our feet.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, let's do it.
Hey, we got to get a picture.
Oh, how do we do that?
Oh, and it's 5:55. Right as I pull my phone up.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, I was like, it's 3:55 where I'm at.
That's so great.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna take our
How do we do
picture.
this? How do we do this? What do I do?
Just
Do I
smile.
just look up? Oh,
All right,
Thank you. You're amazing.
thank you
Troy.
guys. It was so much fun.
We had so much fun too. Thank you for allowing this, and we look forward to it. We talked to uh, our friend Lindsay Lawless, and she's sending her
Mhm.
support, and we're going to interview her next. So you
Yeah,
could come up with a
I'll
fun
just,
question for
yeah,
her.
if I can, Bart Barkak, Wes Urbaniak, Lindsay Lawless, and then there's another friend of mine out at 10 Sleep. You got to get to know. His name is Adam Kirkpatrick. I met him 2 years ago, but the guy literally writes a song every day.
Oh my
He writes a new
gosh.
song.
Wow.
So creative, paints pictures. He's just a wonderful dude, and I've grown a huge respect for him and his craft and his talent and his passion for music. So that's another one I want you to reach out to and
Okay.
dive into him.
All right. We'll see what we can do. We'll pick all these amazing musicians' brains and get
Be
all the
fun.
life lessons out of them.
Yeah,
All right.
Thank
absolutely.
you. You're
All
incredible.
right. Well, I'm not good at technology, so you guys are gonna have to kick me out because